Ryan Nobles is standing by from CNN. Good morning, Ryan.
Hey, Bill. Good morning. I'm on Capitol Hill this morning. Where are you?
You are.
Reporting live.
Reporting live. Well, it should be a busy place today, as I guess it is every day. But what's the fallout from Comey? What are your thoughts?
It's really incredible, Bill. I mean, I don't think we can understate how big of a bombshell this was. Nobody saw it coming. You know, talking to senators here in the Russell office building this morning, many of them found out that the president decided to do this just like you did through a press report.
Yeah.
He didn't give much of a heads up. I mean, there were no tea leaves to read. It would just happen very abruptly. And so now you've got both Republicans and Democrats that are concerned about the timing. You know, they're asking why now? Why did you decide to make this move? What's behind it? And a lot concerned about what this means for the investigation into Russia attempting to intervene in the U.S. election. You know, that James Comey was somebody that was in charge of at least one of those investigations.
Yeah.
And, you know, is that perhaps some of the motivation behind why the president decided to make this move? You know, Bill, there's a lot more questions up here this morning than there are answers.
Right. I got to tell you, I've seen people compare this to Nixon and the firings. Even Bill Clinton fired his FBI director, but not in the midst of an investigation. That's where the comparison to Nixon and Watergate kind of it gains life, right?
It sure does. I mean, Nixon never fired his attorney general, but he did fire people that were involved in that investigation. And
right.
Draw the Bill Clinton comparison, which is apt. But the big difference between Bill Clinton and Donald Trump is that the decision to fire his FBI director at that time came after an exhaustive 160-page report into his activity at that time.
Right.
This situation is a little bit different.
Yeah.
You have a deputy attorney general that's been on the job for only a couple of weeks, who is the one that the White House is pinning this decision on. So, you know, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing, though, Bill, because while Democrats have been pretty upset, by and large, that the president made this move, not too many of them are necessarily fans of James Comey. They've been very critical of him. They believe he's at least part and parcel why Hillary Clinton isn't currently the president, which is what you see the President Trump tweeting about this morning, that he views that as a degree of hypocrisy. So it's kind of a weird situation up here because everybody's not 100% sure what side of this to be on because Comey was such a controversial figure.
What do you think this is? And I know some Republicans are already talking about this. This has to mean, doesn't it, that an independent investigation, a special prosecutor, something has to be appointed. Somebody has to be appointed here to really take over the reins on this Russian investigation.
Well, you know, Bill, up here in this dynamic and the environment that we're in, nothing has to happen.
Right.
With Donald Trump in charge and Republicans in control of both houses of Congress, the leaps and the necessity of steps that you'd have to get through to get to a point where a special prosecutor could be appointed would be very difficult. There's no statute in place right now.
Yeah.
It's not just something where you can wave a wand and make it happen. And the White House would have to be a partner in that. And the president has said time and time again he doesn't see a need for it. He doesn't even think that an investigation into Russia is necessary.
Right.
So even though Democrats are going to continue to call for that, they're going to cry and say that it has to take place. And you may even get a few Republicans that join the chorus. There just isn't enough votes up here to make something like that happen. So, no, I think that I think where you're going to see the fight happen is with whoever this new FBI director is. They're going to, I think that Democrats in particular are going to work very hard to make sure it's not some just puppet of the Trump administration. But, Bill, keep in mind, and Democrats did this to themselves.
Yeah.
When Harry Reid was the Senate Majority Leader, they got rid of the filibuster and basically got rid of the nuclear option, or they used the nuclear option when it came to executive appointments.
Right.
Donald Trump only needs 51 votes to get the next FBI director in, which essentially makes the Democrats powerless in this debate.
So, really, this is it is unprecedented. Don't you think there would have been someone, or maybe there was someone, and I wonder who that someone is, if there was, that is inside the circle that said, "Wait a minute, we really shouldn't do this. With this investigation going on, it doesn't look right. Let's hold off on this." Do you think there was somebody?
Yeah, I think there was, Bill. Actually, we don't have all that reporting necessarily nailed down right now, but I've seen in my inbox this morning. Our White House team is on top of that. I think there were some voices within the White House that cautioned the president not to do this. But at the end of the day, this president is the one that makes the final decision. And regardless of what some may have thought about this, and from what we're being told, there were some influential voices who thought this was a bad idea. He decided he wanted to move forward with it. And the other thing that was interesting, Bill, was that our Dana Bash has sources in the White House that said the president was actually surprised. The White House was surprised at the political fallout. They did not realize that people would be so upset by this move and its abruptness. So that kind of maybe gives you an indication of how tone-deaf they are to the situation right now.
All right, I'll ask you, in your opinion, does this actually basically put out the Russian fire, if you will, or does it throw gas on it?
Oh, man, I think it just I mean, if that was the president's goal, it's going to have the exact opposite effect.
Yeah.
And I think, but to answer your question in two parts, it's not going to stop Democrats and even some skeptical Republicans for demanding more questions or more answers about exactly Russia's role.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is, are we ever going to get to some sort of conclusive summation of exactly what Russia attempted to do and what, if any, role the Trump campaign played in it? I mean, I think that we're now as far away from that as we've ever been.
Yeah.
And from the Trump administration's perspective, that just is going to make their life so much more difficult, because now every single issue that they try and make some progress on, it's going to come back to Russia. A Democratic senator. We need this Democratic senator to help us out to get this bill over the finish line. I'm not getting involved with you guys because I've got questions about Russia that haven't been answered.
Yep.
So they may have shot themselves in the foot from that perspective, because it's always been my view of it that the Trump administration would benefit from a full vetting of this, where there was some sort of conclusion at the end that exonerated them,
and one that is independent, one that you can say, you know what, no one had any political influence, and it has really confirmed that there's nothing there, and unfortunately, for some reason, they keep resisting that. I don't get it. We'll be watching your coverage today on CNN, Ryan, up on Capitol Hill. Ryan Nobles, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. Always great to talk to Ryan.